Today, we are talking about happiness. And you might be saying, Brandon, we talk about happiness all the time, right? Yes, we know how we can be happy, right? We can work out once and we can feel great afterwards. We can eat a really big meal, maybe some pizza, maybe some wings, and we can feel really good after it. We can achieve a goal and we can feel really good. But what happens a week after you achieve the goal? What happens if you achieve a shorter term goal? How long do you feel after that? Maybe 20 minutes, maybe the day, maybe you celebrate. And then the next day you wake up and you're like, geez, I got to do this thing all over again. Well, today we're not talking about short-term happiness. Today we're going to be talking about how you can achieve and accomplish and embody long-term happiness. Today we're specifically going to be speaking with an expert on happiness. She recently released a book, and that book is called Happy and Strong. Create your dream life while enjoying the journey. And it's all about enjoying the journey on the way to happiness. It's not about I'll be happy when, I'll be happy if. It is I am happy and I will accomplish this goal. I will become this person I want to be. So today we're going to be talking all about strategies and how you can achieve long-term happiness. When you take something away from this show, a takeaway, a new insight, maybe we made you laugh, maybe we made you smile. All that we ask is you share this show with just one person who could use it as well. We won't show you ads. We won't interrupt your viewing experience with sponsors. All that we ask is you share the show. You're the reason the show has grown the way it has over the past 2 years, and I am grateful to you for being the best part of the Be Better team. So today, we are talking to Jaime Villalovos. And for those who don't know Jaime is a philanthropist, an entrepreneur, and a business coach whose passion is helping people reach their biggest goals while finding true happiness. As a busy mompreneur with 4 children, she's earned herself a reputation of being the balance queen. We're going to talk about that. Her Happy and Strong mission is to touch 100 million lives through the education, philanthropy, and leadership development within her team. Jaime, I'm so excited to have you on the show. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Brandon. I'm so excited to be here. I've been looking forward to this for a while.
I've been looking forward to it too. For those who want to know how Jaime and I met, we met through a friend of mine, Ben Spangle, who's been on the show. He has his own incredible show. You need to go check that out as well. But he was like, Brandon, my friend Jaime just released this book. It's called Happy and Strong, and it's freaking amazing. And I was like, tell me about it. He told me a little bit about it. He's like, you got to meet Jaime. He connected us. Here we are. So Jaime, tell me about Happy and Strong. Why did you write a book on happiness? Why now? Tell me about it.
Yeah. Well, okay, so I've been an entrepreneur for about 23, 24 years, have, had a great business, made multiple 7 figures for years. And I've been asked several times to write a book or to co-write books, and I just had zero interest in it. I didn't want anything to distract me at all from my businesses. And then when COVID hit, I realized that what I'm most passionate about teaching was when I was teaching these entrepreneurs how to be successful. They'd come to me and say, now I'm making $500,000 a year, or now I'm making $250,000 a year, but I am not spending enough time with my wife, or, I'm not, my kids are not, I'm not being able to be at their things. And they were just having this growing discontent. And I found that was the thing I was most passionate about coaching, and helping them to have more balance, have more happiness, find more joy, but still not shortchange themselves or not keep reaching, growing, and achieving bigger dreams. And so during COVID, what I noticed was, I don't know, it just seemed like everybody, even my multiple 7-figure, people that I coach, they were all unhappy. It seemed like everyone was in their own little form of depression. Entrepreneurs, employees, it didn't matter. They all kind of were feeling this funk. And I just felt like, if I had the cure to a pandemic, I would want to share it. So something just kept telling me that I needed to write a book. I needed to kind of get this out there. And at first I kind of resisted it. I'm like, no, thank you. I'm not going to do that. And so, but then one day as I was kind of journaling, I thought, well, if I was going to do this, then kind of what would it look like? And as soon as that happened, wonderful people came to my aid. One of my good friends and business partners, Ed Milet, helped me a lot with it. Another guy, John Maxwell, who's one of my favorite mentors, kind of started helping me with it. My mom even called me and said, hey, do you have any new projects? I want to come visit the kids. I'll do the pickups. I'll do the drop-offs. I'll do all this stuff so you can kind of take on something new. And it just seemed like kind of everything was telling me to do it. So I knocked it out during COVID, but feel really, really grateful right now for the results that people are getting because of it. So
Absolutely. Guys, you got to go check out Happy and Strong. Like this book has like 1 billion 5-star reviews on Amazon. Like a billion people can't be wrong, right? Like
not
you
quite a
heard
billion, but yeah, but I am excited about how well it's doing.
soon enough, right? Soon enough, 100 million is the mission. I think you're going to reach that a lot quicker than maybe you even think you'll reach that. And you mentioned some big names there. You mentioned that you've had mentorship with Ed Milet. You've mentioned John Maxwell. Like, these are giant names in this industry. And I'm curious, you mentioned also that with the people you coach, the people who are 7 figures, multiple 7 figures, some people listening are like, how could you be at multiple 7 figures and still not be happy? Right. And it's a
Yeah.
scale for everybody. Like for me, like I was even over 6 figures at a point in my life in my early 20s, and I wasn't happy. I was depressed. I was
Right.
overweight, and it wasn't quite 7 figures, but the mindset was the same, right? The mindset of it doesn't matter how much money you make. It's about so many more things than just the finance piece. So when
Yeah.
these clients of yours, Jamie, reached out to you and said, listen, the pandemic's going on. I'm still doing well financially, but I'm in this funk. Like how would you advise that person? Like, was there a specific process you followed? Is it the same process in the book? Like, how would
Yeah.
you help someone overcome that funk?
Well, I again, I've been coaching people in business and on entrepreneurs in different industries for a long time. But what I found was there was people, and again, in every industry, I found people that were making great income, but they were still not fulfilled. They were people that were chasing these big dreams, working hard for a long time, grinding it out for a long time. But what good is it to make millions of dollars when you get there, you're unhappy? You don't love your life. And so my goal in creating the Happy and Strong coaching, or that, I guess that the book, the brand, was Ed and I actually were sitting at his house in Laguna, and he said, Jamie, you're the only one that I coach, that's, as far as these females, that does have it all. He said that you're making the great income, you're traveling the world, you have 4 little kids, you have teenagers, you have, all this philanthropy that you're doing. He said, and he was actually the one who suggested that I even start with this Happy and Strong stuff. And that's when I fell in love with that area of coaching, not just, the leadership and the business development and those things. And so I started that probably about a year or so before COVID. And really, that's what it was. Like, what good is it that you're making millions of dollars if in the end you're divorced, or
Mm-hmm.
your kids don't like you, or you're unhealthy because you
Mm-hmm.
didn't take care of you mentally or physically? You're unhealthy, and now you're spending all your money back, or trying to buy out back your health. And so I try to teach people that yes, you can still think big and go after your biggest goals and dreams, and it doesn't have to. There's a price for success, obviously. We If success was easy, we would all have it, we'd all be there. But the success that the price that it demands is not your marriage, it's not your kids, it's not your health, it's not your happiness, and there is a better way to do it.
Yes, absolutely. And you learned this all through your experience of having to learn it. Like I'm sure that, you didn't have your first child and then all of a sudden you understood balance, and then your second child and your third child, and then 4 children while writing a book, while operating a business, while doing all the other things you're doing. Like I have no children, okay? And there's times where I'm like, how do people with kids do this? And
Right.
that's in the future for me. Like I'm thinking about it. So I love talking to people like you who are already doing it, who found what works, but I'm sure you're always honing the system. Like, you never fully get it. You're still always getting better.
Yeah, I had to learn from a lot of trial and error and a lot of mistakes, but thankfully, I've also had incredible mentors, like the 2 that I mentioned, Ed Milet, but others, and that have already gone through what was going through, are at where I want to be. And so luckily, I've been very good at seeking out good mentors and asking the right questions and hitching myself to the right wagon, and being extremely coachable to not make as many mistakes as I probably would have. But yeah, for sure. When I started out in business, I was young, single, hungry, and the business was my baby,
Mm.
and I was just pouring all of myself into it. I was the first one in the office and the last one to leave, and just grinding it out and loving it. But then, I did want to have kids. And I thought, well, gosh, I can't, at some point I would, a lot of times I would forget to eat, because I was
Yeah.
just working so hard. But when you have kids, you can't forget to feed them. You can't, you can't just be this maniac all the time. And so but I didn't want to not continue to grow. I didn't want to not challenge myself and to, keep going after bigger, better dreams. And so I had to adjust when I first got married, actually, I had to make a lot of adjustments, and it was now a partnership. And where does he fit in? And where can we have not just his and my goals, but our goals, and have a common vision for our life together? And it's not just my business and his business, but our dream of where
Mm.
we're going. And so that we were kind of, again, not just, instead of trying to drag him along with me, as far as, luckily he's kind of has the same common vision, but really create our dream life that we were headed to, that we were both excited about, and then we can kind of both find our roles. That was a big adjustment for me. Instead of just me going all the time. Then I had my first child, and it wasn't that big of an adjustment. It was kind of like I just brought her with me everywhere. I
Yeah.
had a little baby swing and play thing in the office. As she got bigger, I kind of had a little area in the office that was, where she could do different things. It wasn't that big of an adjustment. When I had stuff to do, I'd just be like, here, take her, right? And she had a ton of aunts and uncles of people that I was coaching and people that were in my business, and it worked. And I loved that my daughter got to grow up around, excited people, positive people, people that were trying to improve themselves and also make an impact on the lives of others. So I didn't mind her having, to be around all the time. When I
Mm.
had two, it was kind of, throw another log on the fire here. It wasn't too big of an adjustment. But as they both were running around and they were starting to get into activities and different things, I'm like, okay, it can't just be me working harder to make this happen. I have to really find some systems, just like I did in business. I had to
Mhm.
find some systems, some strategies to free me up more. And that's obviously what we all want in business anyways, isn't it? We want to have things in place that we can have lifestyle and that we can scale and grow our businesses without having to just, throw ourselves into more and more and more and more work. When I had three, though, Brandon, it was crazy. Like,
Mm.
three was, I couldn't just bring them with me. I couldn't just, grab a babysitter or something last minute. I couldn't do that. I was feeling very outnumbered.
Yeah.
Even though it was both my husband and I were on the same page with our goals, we were outnumbered. And so at three is where I got completely off balance and was feeling it. Really, it was stressful. It was really
Yes.
stressful. And people ask me, I travel all over, speak all over the world, and people ask me, how do you do it all? That's probably the number one question I get. And they have one kid, right? Or two kids. I have four, and I have teenagers, and I have little ones, and I also have a lot of other passions, with the, philanthropic work and stuff. And I don't want to stop those things. I don't necessarily want to put them on hold. I do have to have perspective, and I have to
Mhm.
have the right priorities, and I have to know what I want my life to look like going forward. What am I so excited about to keep going, but then make the tweaks, make the adjustments. So I think when I had three, that's when I really had to figure out, like, hey, this is going to kill me. Like, I'm not going to be able to do what I want to do, or I'm going to make myself just completely burnt out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a common theme when I hear you, and that common theme is this idea of a goal, this idea of a vision. You know what you want to achieve. Like
Mhm.
your business before you were married, before you had any children, you lived and breathed your business, right?
Yeah.
And you designed your life around that. And then you got married and you and your husband have a common vision. I think that's super important, right? You don't need to each want the same things. You could be doing different things, but again, the vision, as an example, your vision now of touching the lives of 100 million people, like
Yeah.
your vision is contribution, and you'll do that in many different ways. But you have this vision, and what is very apparent about you is you've designed your life around
Yes.
that vision. And when it was one kid, you brought them everywhere. When it was two, you still brought them, but it got a little bit more difficult. And then three, it comes to the point where you said it brilliantly. You're like, okay, I can't just continue to do more and work harder and just add more logs to the fire. I need to
Right.
create systems, just like you had in your business before you were married or your children, right? But
Yeah.
systems can apply to every area: business, professional, family, personal, every single area. So I'm curious, if you're talking to somebody and let's say you don't have the world's most information about them, someone listening
Mhm.
right now,
Yeah.
is there a system that you applied and adopted maybe early in your life, maybe recently, that you would never throw by the wayside? This system you'll keep with you for the foreseeable future. What system
Yeah.
would you recommend that can bring more happiness to somebody's life now?
Yeah. Well, I think it's a combination of things. I kind of have a system for everything. Everything's kind of where I want to be able to delegate if I can or take things off my plate very easily. So I kind of have a system for every little thing. I've learned to do that. But I'll tell you, the book is really a lot about that. I mean, the first half of the book is how to get clarity on that vision, on creating your dream life, creating these systems and putting these things in place. But the first half of the book is how to do that, how to get that clarity. And I think that you hit it on the head. Like that is the most important. If you don't know where you're going, you're gonna end up somewhere else, and you're gonna be frustrated pretty much the whole time. Then the middle of the book kind of teaches you how to become a leader and how to develop leaders around you so that you can grow and scale your business to another level without having to, again, have that burnout situation of you just grinding it out. And then the last half of the book is really what everybody wants. How do you have it all? How do you
Mm,
juggle it all? How do you, make sure that you can put all these different techniques, systems, tools in place? So there's so many that I have. In that book, you'll learn a ton in business, but you'll also learn a ton as far as being a parent or
yeah.
just running a household. So that again, you're not, because there's so many little stressors in your life. And I believe that especially in the day we live right now, there's just kind of a lot of chaos out there and a lot
Yeah.
of media that has a lot of negative stuff going on with, oh, there's the next market crash and the pandemic, or what, all these different things that could happen
Hmm.
and have happened. Again, I've been in business 23, 24 years. So, I grew my business during the 9/11 financial crisis, during the 2008 financial crisis, and then again during the pandemic. And there's going to be another one coming around the corner eventually,
Yeah.
right? I know that. And when hard things happen, my business has grown
Mm,
100% at least during each of those examples. And that's because it's not all about me and about what I have to deal with. And so when those things happen, I can look through that mess for opportunities for growth because I do have all these systems in place. But I would tell you the first thing I would do before any of the systems is get clarity. Get
mm.
clarity on your vision, your goals, what you really want your life to look like. I see so many people, new entrepreneurs, that's who I'm kind of speaking to right now. Like they want it bad. They want a better life. They want to have something great for their family, maybe that they never had. And so they're like, let's go. I'll do whatever it takes, to win. And then life hits and you get distracted. And that could be big or little. Maybe your mom is sick with cancer, or maybe one of your children are going through something hard, or you're going through something hard. And that's life. I mean, adversity is going to come. It's just what it is. I believe adversity is for our good. It's for our growth. I mean, there's two of us. There's the guy or gal that is, and the one that is to be, that's meant to be. And for you to get from here to here, it's not just being on a bunch of podcasts, which helps. It's not just reading a bunch of good books, that helps, but it's really you going through the trials, the challenges to come out a better person, to be this person that can lead thousands or that can change your life. So that's going to happen. But to get through it the right way, you have to have clarity on who this person is, who
Yeah.
that better version of you is, that guy or gal. What contributions are you going to make in the world? And so, just so you know, I wasn't like this when I started in business. I grew up in a trailer in Montana, in northeastern Montana, a town of like 325 people. I grew up on food stamps and welfare, and no one in my family's ever made any money at all. I had no examples of success. There was no John Maxwell or Ed Milet or Rich Thaler or any of these wonderful people in my life saying, you can do it. And so I had to say, well, this is not, I didn't know what I wanted, but I knew what I didn't want.
Mm.
I didn't want in my home for my kids to hear their mom and dad talk about which bill can we pay? Are we going to be able to have heat? Do we have to borrow a pig to feed our family,
Yeah.
those things. And so I left that little tiny town of small thinking, and I went to some place where at least a lady could get a job. And I worked my butt off. I'm just telling you. And I worked and I worked. And luckily I was introduced to a business that, that someone said, maybe you can do this. And again, I gave it all I got, and I was successful there, and then kind of, moved up from there. But the thing that drove me to just, again, go through all the tough things of starting a business and all of the failures that we all will go through, and the trial and error, was that person I wanted to become. My goal was I wanted to win so big that it was so undeniable that I'm the oldest of 6 kids, and all my younger siblings are very much younger than I am.
Yeah.
But all my younger siblings could say, well, gosh, it doesn't matter where we came from, doesn't matter what happened to us or any of those things. Doesn't matter where you came from. Listen to me, you guys. It doesn't matter your current circumstances or your past circumstances. All that matters is where you want to go. And so my big vision, my big goal was to just be successful, to be that example, to be that hero to them. And so that kept driving me enough to then where I would have some accomplishments and say, well, if I can do that, well, maybe I can do this. And then my vision kept stretching. And then, like I said before, I kept getting around good mentors that would pour belief into me, that my vision would get bigger and bigger. And so when I first started in business, I thought, well, gosh, if I could just make what I'm making as an employee, but have my own schedule, well, that would be a dream come true, right? and now it's, like I said, I've had all my dream cars and dream homes and wonderful things, and now I have a business plan or life plan or whatever you want to call it. My vision, I guess, it goes 100 years past when I pass away. Of generationally, like, how I want to impact the lives of others.
Yeah.
So the book is just a very small piece of a bigger vision. And I'm excited about it. I've never been more excited than I am right now. So that's why I'm telling you, like, that's the most important piece before all the systems, before all the other stuff, because otherwise, if people say, well, I just want to be successful. Well, usually that means that there's a price tag on that. Like, I want to make $500,000 a year. Or I want to make $250,000 a year. Or I want to make $1 million, whatever it may be. And when you get there, even though you say it's not about the money or whatever, and you love it, when you get to a certain spot, you will stop. You may not quit, but you won't be the same hungry version of you that's trying to get better. And so that's why you need to keep stretching your vision and keep having this, the dream person that you're becoming, that better version of you that you're becoming. So I think that that's where you start getting clarity on what just lights your fire. What, maybe it's not just about money. Maybe it's about, like for me, it was my sisters in the beginning. And now it's, about these other things that I want to do throughout the world. But, I feel like I'm a global child advocate. And that's what lights my fire. You know what I mean? So I try to build leaders in all that I'm doing. In every one of my business, I'm trying to build leaders that understand money and they can build wealth. And I believe when you have leadership skills and you have money, you can change the world. So I'm trying to just light their fire a little bit of, it's more than just, it's more than just money. It's more, maybe someone has a passion to help kids with autism, and another one has a passion to help in sex trafficking, and maybe another wants to help the vets with their suicide rate. I don't know, but that's kind of the goal that I have. But again, it didn't start there. It started with the life that I wanted for my little family.
Wow. Absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much for going into that, telling us a bit about your story. I can only imagine how proud of you your siblings are and how inspirational that you are to them and your family who get to see what you're doing on a daily basis. There's so many things that I want to unpack. I think it was really brilliant how you said that you had a business plan, but then you quickly said a life plan, right? It's a business plan. But guys, your business plan can be the best it can possibly be when it's aligned with what your life plan is. That's how you truly go all in on your business. It's hard to be in a business or even in a job that doesn't fulfill you and doesn't bring you closer to fulfilling that life plan. And listen, sometimes you got to do things you don't want to do. Sometimes you are in the job that you don't like to get to that next step, to get to the next stepping stone. But I love the combination there of those two. And something else that you said quickly, but you said it several times, which you're absolutely right, but it needs to be touched on, is the idea of create the vision, Be very clear on what you want. But in the subtitle of your book, everyone, again, Happy and Strong. The links are in the description to go check this book out on Amazon as well as Jamie's website. But in the subtitle of your book, it literally says, create your dream life, right? The vision, the clarity, while enjoying the journey.
Yeah.
And this is the thing, right? Enjoying the journey, because the goals, the achievements are the milestones along the way. But
Yeah.
most of that time is spent in the spaces. Most of that time is spent doing the things. And you said a lot of things there that were really, again, brilliant. You said people listen to a lot of podcasts, people read even a lot of books, they go to a lot of seminars, they learn. They have the vision, they know what they want, but vision is not enough. It's very important. It's the first step. But the action in the spaces between the milestones, that is everything. I do some work mostly with corporations, with sales teams, but I also work with some other coaches and speakers who want to speak to sales teams, corporations, whatever it might be. And they have the vision. They know what they want to do. They want to impact lives. They try to get on podcasts. They read book after book after book. And they don't want to prospect, though. They don't want to put the action in. They don't want to reach out. They don't want to send the cold email, because that stuff is scary. That stuff is, it is work. Yes. And it's the unsexy part of what we do, but that we have to find a way to enjoy that. Like, have you always enjoyed the process? Have you always enjoyed the journey, or do you have certain strategies or ways of thinking that help you enjoy that work piece of it?
Yeah. Well, I think that in the beginning, I kind of did, because I felt like I was growing, I was learning, I was being challenged. So I kind of did. But then eventually, you're doing the same thing every day. Success usually is a lot of day-to-day monotony, right? And so I'll tell myself, like, yes, this can be boring, or this can be a grind, or this can be not that fun. But you know what's fun is going to Hawaii every single year with my family, going to Europe every single year with my husband. Those types of things are fun, right? So, if you want, it's like the spoonful of sugar that lets the medicine go down is that dream life that you're building. What's coming next? And that doesn't have to be way far out into the future. So one of the, I guess, systems of creating this, I would tell you, is I just kind of, when I'm creating my new business plan or trying to engage and refocus and get excited again, I'll recreate that dream life or business plan, and I'll just draw a line down the center of the page and across the page. And so I have 4 quadrants, and my 4 F's are faith, family, fitness, and finance. And if you have each of those 4 F's in place, then you'll have the best F, my 4 favorite F words. But my favorite F word is the last one, the 5th one, which is fulfillment. That's how you build that happy and strong life. And so faith means different things to different people. One, personally, it could be something to do with their religion, and others, it could be just becoming a better person and their self-improvement goals and the contribution goals that they want to make in the lives of others. One of the keys to happiness is just making an impact in the lives of others.
Yeah.
It could be service. It could be, just helping out in your community, making a difference there. And so I think that you always should have goals in that category. And, one of my leaders, Ed Milet, he told me, like, Jamie, a sign of a strong leader is that you're growing closer to God, or you're growing stronger in your faith. That will help your business. So I always had that category. Then family. You got to have short-term and long-term goals there. And this is, again, that dream that you want. What do you want for your, I have goals for my great grandkids, and I don't even have grandkids yet, right? So, I have this ideal life that I'm building. Now, I'm not going to try to push my kids into doing anything that they don't want to do. I want them to be happy and happily married and do what makes them, what they're passionate about. But I have goals, and it could be short-term goals like get this guy potty trained by this date, or it could be, very, very long-term goals that you have a vision for, what you want for your family around the table at Christmas time. I don't know. And then you have your business goals or your finance goals. And always you need to have savings goals in that category.
Yeah.
Meaning that you are always accumulating your wealth, that you're always becoming stronger in that area. I see so many times during this pandemic that we just had, or just other times, where people that were making great income lost it all, and they didn't have a big solid foundation of savings. They start to make bad business decisions because they're in panic management. So always in your financial goals, you need to have not just making money, but saving money, understanding how to become a good steward of wealth. and wealth
Mm.
building. And then the last category, so again, faith, family, fitness, and finance. But the fitness category is for a lot of new entrepreneurs overlooked. We get in the grind, we have our head down, we're pouring it on, and we stop. The exercise, the working out, the eating right. We're eating about a lot more junk than we should probably, and that will catch up to you. So and my idea of happy and strong, or winning in business and in life, is that when you get there, and along the way, you absolutely adore your life. You're not burnt out. You're not frustrated all the time. You're not like, grinding. You got to do some of that. Like I said, you got to pay the price. You got to work, but how do you find joy in it? Is that, yes, that spoonful of sugar is what's next. And again, it could be short-term little goals of things that you're going to do, is like, hey, if I hit this goal, we're going on that trip, me and my spouse. Or, hey, when I hit this little thing, it's like these rewards along the way, but that Ed Milet calls it happily discontent, right? Or
Mm.
blissfully discontent. So you are not satisfied. You want more. You want to contribute more. You want to be better. But at the same time, you're not always frustrated with where you're at. You're happy where you're at as well.
Yes. Y- I'm really pumped up right now. I just want you to know, like and you're not trying to do that, but I just am, because number one, if we stopped now, like already so many things people can do. Like you can start creating your plan right now, guys. You can start looking into how to become a more effective leader. You can start becoming a steward of your own wealth. I think that's so important. And not a lot of people talk about it. It's just the reality. I can't imagine what the stat is, but the last time I checked, like 70 to 80% of America has less than $5,000 in a separate account that they can
Oh
go to
yes,
if
no,
they
it's
need it.
it's a lot less than that. Actually, for emergency funds, when pandemic hit, was $400. So of course everybody went into panic mode and stressed out, and that's just the basics of kind of what I teach, is how to overcome the overwhelm. So many people, even if they aren't in a bad financial situation, they're still really overwhelmed with, like, where do I even start? And then when they do start, then it's like, oh my gosh, there's all this stuff that I had to learn that I didn't even know about. And so it's really difficult. I think for business owners, for entrepreneurs, and even employees right now, they're feeling it too. Like, I want a better quality of life. I don't want to go back to work right now and, you know, have my be at the mercy of a boss or the economy anymore.
Yeah.
They're just overwhelmed and they want a better way. And so that's kind of like the main things I'll do first, is just how to overcome that overwhelm, how to simplify your life in a way that you're focusing on things that are bringing you success and joy and happiness, and the life that you want, the person that you want to become.
Yeah, I love that 4F framework.
Yeah.
Incredible. And before I ask you where people can go grab the book, where people can follow you, let's say you're talking to Joe Smith and Joe says, Jamie, this sounds amazing, but I feel that I'm lacking in most of those areas. I'm lacking in faith, family, finances, and fitness. Jamie,
Yeah.
where would you recommend I begin? I know it's a big question, but what would you
It's
recommend to
it's
Joe
actually
Smith?
pretty simple. I had a gal that I was coaching who she's a hard worker. She was a single mom, actually, of two little girls, and she kind of was in that situation where she's good and she's working hard, and she was doing all right, but she wanted so much more. So she was like frustrated, and she felt like every one of those areas was like just a really big overwhelming job to get going. So where do I start? And I just said, like, girl, like if, and it was probably like mid-year, and I'm like, look, if I had a magic wand, or you had a magic wand, and we could wave that magic wand and everything you touch turned to gold, and best case scenario happened in your business life, in your relationships, so you're looking for a man, right? And like in your with your kids, as being the single mom, and that constant grind, and in your money and all these things. If we had a magic wand and everything happened perfectly between now and the end of the year, what would it look like?
Mm,
Let's just pretend for a while. Let's take our limiting beliefs and set them aside. Let's take what we've done in the past and forget about all of that. And let's just say best case scenario. And we created a little business plan that fired her butt up,
wow.
right? She was like, it just had little goals and little dreams in each of those four F's. And so she's like, well, this would be amazing, right? And she went from not making too much money to going over 300,000 by the end of the year in
Wow.
income. And and then now she's married. So they're wanting to have another child. All of those things started to come to pass. And so there is truth in, like, you can attract the right things into your life. If you're focused on what you don't want, or where you're at, or how frustrated you are because of your current situation, guess what? If you're focused on where you're at, that's where you stay. You
Mhm.
get more of it. If you're in debt, you focus on debt, you attract more debt. You're focused on how you're not meeting the right guy, you're going to meet more of the wrong guy, right? And
Yes.
so that's where we started. And then, like I said, by the end of the year, she was running and she was fired up. Now she's about to go over $500,000, and she will probably in the next couple months. But
Wow.
so I think that instead of just saying like, what hasn't been working, and what do I hate, and what am I frustrated with? Again, all that overwhelm. Again, when we're trying to get to the finish line here of our life, and there's all these hurdles in the way. That's what we're looking at, is the hurdle. It's right in our face. But instead, kind of take a step back, look at that finish line and say, okay, how can I get there? What would be the best possible situation? And then guess what? The best mentors will come into your life. The
Mm.
best business, teammates will come into your life. The best, your spouse will be more supportive. Like all these wonderful things, because you're attracting that. Does that make sense?
It
So
does.
it's almost that simple, you guys. Is like, again, we have to stop focusing on um the frustration. We have to stop focusing on what's making us unhappy, and we can start to now focus on what we're grateful for. Because there's
Yeah.
always something good, right? There's always something good. Like, even if it's like for me every day, and I'm writing my like little grateful, like, I'm grateful for the way my husband looked at me in the kitchen today. Or, I'm grateful for the way my little guy came up and just gave me that big old hug, or the funny face he made at me. And so there's always, if we can focus on the positive, we can focus on the good, and then we can focus on where we're going, we will start to gravitate towards that. And if we can, for a short, brief minute, take off that blinder of what we've done in the past, our challenges, what we're not good at, why this is so hard. A lot of times that's what vision is not looking at things with the lens of who we are today, but looking at it through the lens of the person that's we're becoming.
Yeah.
I think most of your listeners can agree with me that they're a different person today after doing a lot of self-development, listening to things like what you're putting out. They're different than they were a year ago. Well, guess what? You're going to continue to grow. So you're going to be different a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now. There's a different, better version of you that's capable of different things. That's a better communicator. That's a better closer in sales, if you're in sales. You know what I mean? That can accomplish bigger, better things. So can we start to look at that person and what that person with their magic wand would be planning for the next half of this year or the next 2 years? And then if we allow ourselves to dream again, if we allow ourselves to believe a little bit more, and we allow ourselves to say, this is scary, but you know what? This is possible. This is possible. And then make yourself a big, scary, stretchingly realistic, because you know what? It's probably been done, right? So if
Mhm.
you can do it too, if I can do it, hey, if I can do it, then you can do it. If this little girl from the trailer in Montana that knew nothing about business or leadership can be making multiple seven figures in her sleep, then you can too.
Yeah.
And so you got to and then I would encourage them at that point also, if they are in a funk and they don't know where to start, find a mentor, find someone who's where you want to be,
Yeah.
and just, be in service to them and try to add value to them any way possible, and ask the right questions. And successful people want to help. And as long as you are coachable and you're not, you know, but why should I do that? You can't,
Mhm.
you have to treat a mentor as it's like a gift from God.
Yeah.
And then when you do that and you apply it at the speed of instruction, they will continue to coach you and you will continue to grow. And so those two things is what I would tell the new person that's kind of trying to figure out where to start.
That's right. And sometimes that mentor is even a book. Like at the very beginning
Mhm.
of my journey, that mentor was someone who's not even alive anymore. It was Jim Rohn, right?
Yeah.
I read his books. I listened to his audio tapes. Once I discovered personal development, I dove right into that world. Then I found
Yeah.
Tony Robbins, and then I found Ed Milet, and some of the guys who are doing it now, like Ed is, like John Maxwell continues to. And that mentor can be the book. And guys, if this is the beginning of your journey, if you're in the middle of the journey, even if you are over 6 figures, 7 figures, Happy and Strong can be the next mentor for you, right? Jamie can be your next mentor. And the cool thing
Yeah.
is
I
you're
believe Happy and
experienced.
Strong is great for it's really great for entrepreneurs, whether they are, you know, at the beginning or, I think that I promise them, I guess, that you'll find so many tools in there that will help you to streamline your life, to be able to scale faster, and to be able to free yourself up, to be able to have more lifestyle, more joy, more balance.
That's right. Where's the best place for us to find Happy and Strong, Jamie?
Anywhere books are sold, you can buy it. Probably Amazon's probably the easiest. Or actually, I would encourage people to go just check out my website too at happyandstrong.com. There's a lot of resources in there too. That you can. There's actually a free class in there that they can watch me with a lot of my mentors. Actually, Ed Milet's one of them in there, and there's a coaching thing with him. So
Cool. I love that. Everyone, you heard it from Jamie. Go grab your copy of Happy and Strong. Create your dream life while enjoying the journey. Link to Amazon below. A link to Jamie's website, happyandstrong.com, is below. And Jamie, I mean, we went so many different directions here, and it was a lot of fun. So thank you so much for being on the show, and it was a pleasure to have you here.
it
Thank
was
you.
my pleasure. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
You heard it here, guys. There's so many different directions you can go right now. My recommendation from what I got from this conversation is create that vision board in your mind before you even put it on the wall of waving the magic wand. What do you want your life to look like in this next year in those 4 key areas of faith, family, finance, and fitness? All 4 of those lead you to the end destination of fulfillment, which really sounds like a big word. But if we think about what that is based on this conversation, it is creating that vision and enjoying the journey along the way to that vision. Because if you're not enjoying that journey, if you're not enjoying the time that you're in the spaces between the milestones, then it's just going to be a lot more difficult mentally than it has to for you. No matter what your life looks like, children, no children, spouse, no spouse, business, no business. There's principles in this conversation that you can take and use immediately to live a better life and become happy and strong yourself. Again, links to follow Jamie's social profiles are in the description, along with Happy and Strong and Jamie's website. If you took anything away from this conversation, please share it with just one other person who could use this as well. I know you took something away because I got a page full of notes here that I'm going to take action on myself. Thank you for being the best part of the Be Better team. Thank you for tuning in and watching and listening. And until we talk again next time, continue to be better.